Welcome to the Savage Saint Podcast.
Exactly like that.
That's real.
Yeah. Don't have to have it all figured out.
Oh, we don't. No. Welcome to Savage Saint Podcast, guys.
Yes. Welcome.
This is day one of a new journey we're starting. And what we want to do today is just talk about why. Why are we coming together? Why are we starting this? We've both got a long history of doing this type of work, but we're bringing our worlds together and embarking on this journey.
Yeah.
So introduce yourself, man.
So my name is Fabiano Mannino. Been a men's coach for the last 6 years. I came from the New Age space. And so being a Christ follower, I mean, we'll obviously dive into our stories and how we got here probably in another bit, but became a Christ follower, surrendered my life to Christ this year. And you were a big part of me staying on that journey. We've been friends for 2 years now, 3 years, through our mutual friend, Andre. So if you ever watch this, dude, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of conviction on what I was doing before, but I think now it's even more present because I went through all of the new age stuff, which is like you pick and choose what works for you. You do what feels right instead of what is right. And, you know, there's no real anchor. So having Jesus as that anchor and having the Word of God, which everything in here, old and new, points back to Him, has been such a powerful knowing and like actually feeling the conviction in me instead of like esoterically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I've been coaching men, leadership development, which I believe is relational. So that's a big part of what I do. Trauma healing, inner child work, breath work, meditation, IFS, internal family systems. For a lot of you who don't know what that is, Gestalt, cycle of experience, and a bunch of other things that New Age has kind of like took as theirs, but in reality, it's actually based off of psychology and Jungian psychotherapy. So there's a lot of that I'm excited to be bringing into the work that we're doing because a lot of Christian men, I would just say Christians in general, don't know this stuff.
No.
And I personally believe that's kind of why God had me go down the path that I did, is to learn these tools. And then when he thought I was ready, because it's not about me, when he thought I was ready, he's like, all right, I'm going to pluck you out. You're going to go through some shit and I'm going to be with you the entire way. And I'm going to put good men in your life to help you through the process too. And I believe that's exactly what happened. So I think that's a good bit.
It's definitely a good start.
Yeah.
So much to unpack, but
Yeah, there's obviously a lot there for sure. Didn't just start this year.
No, absolutely not. No. Guys, my name is Robby D'Angelo. I come from a peak performance background, working with results coaching. Mental optimization is really the world that I play in. And what's really cool about this situation is where I'm working on performance, results, and optimization. Fabiano kind of comes from the other world of a lot of trauma work, a lot of somatic healing. So what we found is by putting those together, that's what we're excited about. But my background, guys, I've been a Christian most of my life. And I say that with an asterisk because I was always a follower of Christ, but never really a practicing Christian. I had a label, but really these past few years, I've been able to incorporate my faith that is just really deepened with a lot of performance work I'm doing. And like Fabiano said, I've really grounded it in the truth of the gospel. And it's become so much more powerful for me. And we've both got incredible testimonies. And we both definitely come from the New Age space where he was working more in the somatic work, the breath work, trauma healing. I was working more in just psychology and ceremonies and rituals and habits and just all these hacks. I call them the Huberman hacks because that's what everybody's searching for right now. But that's the world I come from. But I never really grounded my faith until I grounded myself in my faith. So as we're going to get into it today, guys, you're going to understand where we're coming from, why we have named the podcast what you just heard, and kind of our philosophy behind it. So Fabiano, talk a little more about why we decided to come together and why we're bringing both of our methodologies together into one framework.
Well, personally, I think what we've talked about quite a bit is the fact that identity work is a lot of what this is, right? In different ways, different parts of identity work.
Correct.
So most people will pay for the high performance coach. They'll pay for that coach, but they are still operating from an old identity. Like they don't actually change who they are internally in order to do that. The work that I do is helping them identify why they're operating, like where they're operating from. And sometimes it could be your 11-year-old self who created an identity around being bullied in school, being picked on. Maybe you didn't get the love that you needed from your mom or dad. So there's a wound there with the father or the mother. And you became such a high performer because there was an internal operating system of, I need to prove to these people that I can do this. And as a kid, that doesn't really start, like we don't consciously think of that. So it's an unconscious program that is continuing to run our life. And normally as a kid, it doesn't come from needing to prove ourselves that we can do things. It's because we need love. Like we need love and we need protection. So I'm going to become who I need to based on what my parents, who are my caretakers, love about me or want to love about me or feel like that's the kind of love that they're going to give me. So me, I'll use myself as an example, being told, stop crying. What are you crying about? Like, I'll give you something to cry about. And again, like I've already done a lot of work to help heal the wounds with my mom and dad. So I don't have anything against them. Like I don't hate them or I don't anything. They just were operating to the best of their ability based on their parents. Right. So for me, I took that as, okay, so who I am, and again, this is all unconscious because the brain doesn't develop on a conscious level first. It's all unconscious on the subconscious. I took that as, okay, me being who I am is not going to be loved. So I need to toughen up or I need to just hold it all in. I need to suppress it. I can't ask for help, which is what a lot of men experience, right? So most men are operating from that place too.
Yes.
And that's something that I help identify by doing the breath work, by doing the trauma work, by doing the inner child work, help identify where it's coming from. So there's an awareness, but then not just staying in the awareness part, because if you just stay in awareness and do nothing about it, it's almost worse than not knowing at all.
It's scary.
It's very scary, which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah.
They're like, I know this is an issue, but I'm not going to do anything about it.
They'll do the ayahuasca ceremony and have some enlightening moment.
Right.
And now they're scared to death the rest of their life because they realize their shadow.
Right. And now they don't want to face it. And
Yeah.
that's not, a savage saint is literally about facing it.
You better.
Yeah. So I think that's a lot of like what I do. I think we're still figuring out we got our whole program dialed in, but even like test groups that we're going to be doing this with, we're still learning like how the handoff goes. Cause like once I'm doing my work with them, then handing it off to you to almost like finish it and then coming together to do things together. Cause, we have ideas to turn this into retreats after the programs, like intensives to kind of solidify everything. But I believe that's where a lot of our work comes together is like, all right, so we understand what's happening. Let's get you in a place. Let's see, like, are you willing to change? Because awareness without acceptance is nothing, right? Awareness, acceptance, action. That's kind of how I go about it. And then once we get to that place, then that's where you come in, where we've already uncovered the false identity. Now, where are we going?
Yeah. And kind of the analogy that comes to my mind as you're saying that is somebody's bringing their Mac they've had for 20 years and it's got all this crap installed on it. Their RAM is overloaded. Their software they're using is outdated and it's running slow. They see that spinning wheel every time they click on something and they're like, hey, Fabiano, please clean my computer for me. Yeah. Like erase all the crap, get all the viruses off of here, install all the bad software I've put on here. Hey, make this thing clean and operating again. And that's the work you do is you're helping clean that computer so it's running right again. And you're bringing it back to where it was created to be. And then you're saying, okay, Robby, like, hey, he's got a good computer now.
Yeah.
I need you to install some new software.
Yeah.
And then that's where I come in with a lot of the identity work and install a new operating system where my big thing is I want you operating from an identity, not for an identity. And a lot of what you talked about is what a lot of men go through where we have these stories built on us when we're young of performance, performance love, where if I do these things, then I'll be loved. And really some of the core framing that we've discovered through doing a lot of research and over the course of almost 20 years combined experience is this enough problem that so many men face. Am I good enough? Am I a good enough husband? Am I making enough money? Am I successful enough? Am I tall enough? Just like all these crap stories that every guy lies at like 2 a.m. just struggling with. They're lying awake at 2 a.m. just like asking themselves, like, am I enough? Because we've got so much performance built into us as to where we're getting our validation, our worth from.
Mm.
But with this framework, we're going to have you operating from an identity. And the example I always use there is when Jesus first came on the scene, because everything we're doing is be grounded in the gospel.
Mm.
When Jesus first came on the scene, about 30 years old, he hasn't done one miracle yet. He doesn't have one disciple. He is literally brand new on the scene. No one even knows really who he is at this point, other than John the Baptist, who recognizes him.
Mm.
And the very first thing Jesus does to start his ministry is he gets baptized. And at that moment, audible God says, "This is my son who I'm well pleased."
Mm.
Notice that moment. He has not performed one thing yet other than making a public declaration, I'm a Christian, because that's what a baptism is.
Right.
Baptism is a public declaration of this is who I am in the world. That's the identity that God's proud of.
Yeah.
Not all the miracles, not his 12 disciples that are going to spread Christianity. It's not performance-based at all. It's your identity in Christ.
Yeah.
That's what God's proud of. And that's what we want men to realize. And there's so many things that once you install that operating system that we can build upon.
Yeah.
Look, we can do all the performance, all the habit tracking, and we can do so many cool things from there. But if you're not operating from an identity, from peace, and having an operating system that runs without overheating, without the spinning ball kicking in every time you click on a new software, you're not going to get anywhere. No progress can be made because you're just dragging an anchor behind you. And that's so many men right now. So many men are living in chaos and they're drowning in priorities and they just want peace. So that's where your work comes in, establishing that baseline of let's do some healing. Let's get you back to peace and clean up the operating system. And then we can start installing the new identity. Because what I've found in my work in the past is I'm trying to install this new identity and I'm trying to get them into a state of performance and optimization, but they're carrying so much baggage with them, so many old stories. They have a broken belief system. They have too much BS in their head.
Right.
That I'm basically installing new software in a memory that's already overloaded without a new, like we got to clean up crap. It's just a mess. So that's why combining these two together is so powerful that no one else is doing, is because we've got to clean up the operating system before we can install the software that God has already given you. But you've put so many bad programs on top of it, you don't see it anymore.
Right. Yeah, we've talked about this too. Like God created us a specific way. He created us for a specific purpose. And what we are doing now is it's not even adding really anything new. It's actually uncovering and removing a lot of the programming and parent projections and parent beliefs and societal projections and societal beliefs and education system and all of that stuff, which that's a whole topic for another time.
Yeah.
But all of these other beliefs, we're working on removing all of it.
You have to unlearn before you can learn.
Exactly. So yeah, man. Well said.
Yeah. And part of this too is the reason we're going with Savage Saint is because when we were looking at putting together a program and just what that name means, and we were really going back and forth because he's done a lot of work with his brand Men of Refuge. I've done a lot of work with my brand Undeniable Men, but we're like, okay, but now this is something completely new. It's a completely new thing. What are we really trying to do here? And through some reading, I came across, I'm a huge C.S. Lewis fan, and I came across some writing he did on chivalry. And he actually wrote an article during the Battle of Britain, during World War II, about what it means to be a man. And the thing that I love so much about his writing was it was full, and literally to use this word, it's like full violence. You must be capable and have the capacity of violence, but also be able to sit in the dining hall with women with manners. And another way to say that is I'd rather be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in war. I would rather you have the capacity for violence and still be able to hold a baby at night. That's what we're trying to create here. So that's why we say Savage Saint, because we want you to be capable of both extremes.
Yeah.
because sometimes the extremes are needed. You need to be a savage to protect your family. You need to be a savage to go accomplish your goals. You need to be a savage in the way that you're doing the masculine things in this world. But it's also that word meek. It's a bit bridled horse. It is to sheathe the sword, like it's power under control. But then the saint side of it is, yeah, man, you got to be able to dial that back a little bit when you go and be a lover, father, and a husband.
Yeah.
You got to be able to have some grace and mercy in your life and be able to operate in the extremes of both of those men. Because what we're finding is so many men's programs. I'm not trying to get on my soapbox too bad here, but so many men's programs teach the extremes.
Right.
Like, hey, here's how you be an alpha male, and here's how you conquer, dominate, and yeah. Or we have a lot of these church programs that are, let's talk about our feelings. Let's sing love songs with Jesus squeezed in there so we can call it a worship song. Let's just be in our feminine all the time.
There's also sitting in circle, right? Where it's like you're sitting in circle, and again, Bible study is needed. I feel like men's Bible
100%.
study is needed. That's not what I'm going with here.
No.
But the fact that that's all that happens, like that's not necessarily how men learn. Men learn by doing hard things and then having hard conversations.
Yes.
So we need to be able to do hard things and then have hard conversations.
Yeah. And men need to be, yes, you absolutely should learn the sword of the spirit and wear your spiritual armor every day. And that's a core component. We won't be able to do what we're doing unless we're in the word every day.
Right.
But with a lot of men's groups right now, it is just a Bible study. It's like, okay, well, how do I apply this to my life?
Right.
I've had so many men ask me, hey man, like I read my Bible and like I understand the gospel, but like, what do I do about that? Like, how do I be a man of God? You mentioned the purpose thing earlier. Basically, the word teleology is like you were designed with a distinct purpose.
Right.
You had this purpose built into you when you were knit in the womb, and that's what you're put here to do. But men are like, hey, I read the scripture. I don't know what I do about it. I've had so many men ask me, like, how do I be a Christian at work? And to me, I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're always a Christian. Do you have a switch where you turn that off?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that.
Right. It's faulty operating system.
You're a Christian who does that.
Right.
It is both and.
Right.
If you're a Christian, that is your identity. You never turn it off. That should be how you're in every situation of your life.
Right.
Every variable goes through the filter of I'm a Christian man. This is what a Christian man does.
Agreed.
So to be a savage saint is to be full grace, but also full protector provider and have that capacity in you as well. And I think that we've been leaning, especially in the church world, we've been leaning too hard into grace and love. And it's created a lot of feminized, soft men. I always joke to be a good man right now is to be a good woman. And that's what we're teaching men. And it's a shame because you can see it. You can see it everywhere you go. Men are just like defeated. They're like these tamed little lap dogs that have no like vigor to them at all.
And I feel for those men too, because there's a sense of like, this is what's being pushed and this is what has been pushed for such a long time. And you're only seeing a few churches right now that are actually like, their attendance has skyrocketed since they started focusing on the men, because they actually did surveys for the women, like, what would you like to see? And they said, I need you to focus on my husband.
Yeah.
Like, I need your message. I need your sermons to focus on the man, because everybody is seeing it right now. Men are feeling it. Women are feeling it. Their families are falling apart. Their kids don't respect them. Their wives don't respect them. And if we focus on the men, they will focus on the family.
Yes.
They will rise, protect. They will repent. They will do everything that they need to do. I like how Joby Martin says it. Be the lead repenter.
Yeah.
Right? Be the lead prayer. Be the lead
everything.
Right? And I look at, so what you're talking about, like having full grace and full, what was the word you used?
I use violence.
Violence, right? So my, one of my mentors, who's a really good friend of mine now, he would say, be dangerous, but not a danger.
Correct.
Right? And I look at it, I love Lord of the Rings. And I love the fact that J.R. Tolkien, I know he based a lot of his work is based off of Bible.
Yes.
So Lord of the Rings, you look at Aragorn, who's going through his own spiritual development in Lord of the Rings. And you see him when they're in one of their first battles with the orcs. He is literally He just chops the head off of an orc. And then he goes to console Boromir, his dying friend. So he goes from violence to now weeping with this man. And I call that having range.
Yes.
And we have to, a lot of the work that I do is training your nervous system to hold more, because that's what this world is requiring of us. We need to be able to hold more. We need to be able to experience a lot of change, a lot of challenge in our life, and how we respond to it versus how we react to it ultimately shows the type of man that we become.
I think you bring up a good point there. A lot of men, especially in today's world, like I said, they're learning the Huberman hacks or the David Goggins force willpower.
Yeah.
What we're getting men to do is truly embody godly masculine energy. And when you walk into a room, peace comes with you.
Right.
When you walk into a room, leadership comes with you. It's not a facade you're putting on. It's not something you're having to sell people on.
Or turn on, right? It's just there.
It's just who you are.
Right.
It's your identity. I want people to know when I'm there, safety comes with me. You're safe in your emotions. You're safe in whatever you need to say to me, but you're also safe if something goes down. I can protect you. I'm safe if something breaks. I can fix it. That's what we're trying to get men to understand, because I've worked with so many men who want the 10 steps to this.
Right.
Hey, what are the 3 steps to making my woman desire me again?
5-step guide to rekindling.
Yeah, like
I've created those things, which is
I have too. I have too. And then you realize they don't work.
Right. They don't work because you haven't. The internal landscape hasn't changed.
Well, and that's what's funny. Like, this is just a perfect example of this. Women, they have such a gift of intuition. They know when there's a disconnect between what you're saying and who you're being. And actually, your brain has a psychological immune system that when you're acting different than your identity, that space of action to identity, that gap there, kicks on your psychological immune system. And your psychological immune system's like, no, that's not who you are, bro. So you're stressed out. You're in a state of fight or flight, or even you're just in a state of anxiety because you know you're trying to be someone you're not.
Right.
So with a lot of our work, we want you to embody this new identity, this healed new identity. So therefore, it's just who you are. It's how you show up in the world. And it's your energy that precedes anything that you do. You walk in the room, peace, safety, and leadership comes with you everywhere you go.
Yeah. So that's what we're building with Savage Saint.
Yeah, we're excited.
We need to be a savage. Then we also need to be a saint.
You got to be both. Too many men are one or the other. And if you're too much of a saint, you're not a leader, you're not protecting, you're not providing. If you're too much of a savage, you've got a lot of broken relationships in your life.
Yeah.
And you're manipulating, you're forcing things. And this world has tried to sell you through marketing that you have to be either or.
Right.
And it's just not the case.
Right. Yeah, you can't have both. And we're telling you that you can.
You absolutely can.
Yeah.
Because that's who God created you to be.
Right.
I mean, you're going to hear us say this a lot, but that's exactly who David was. King David was a warrior, right? I mean, lions, bears, Goliath, slayed them all, led plenty of defending battles to protect people. So he was full warrior, but he was also a poet. He wrote Psalms. He was a lover. Yeah, sin there too. But he was both extremes.
That's also the love and grace of God too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like he messed up.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point to bring up with men, is a lot of men do carry a lot of guilt and shame.
For sure.
About mistakes they've made, choices they've made, my own prodigal years that I had to get over.
Same.
You know, with David committed adultery and then had her husband killed. So he's an adulteress and a murderer, yet God still said, this is a man after my own heart. Why? Because David was the lead repenter. I'm sorry. I messed up. I'm a sinner. And he consecrated himself to the Lord over and over again. And that's really that Christian identity that we talked about. That's what God is looking for. God is looking for your heart, your posture. Where's your heart posture right now? Are you truly seeking me, or are you using my grace as a license to do whatever you want? But that being said, that guilt and shame that a lot of men carry over, that's really a constraint from them being a good man. Like, I can't be that. I'm like, you don't know what I've done. Well, you can't out-sin grace, as Joby says too. Like, you can't out-sin grace. And that grace is there for a reason, because we've all got stories. I mean, if David can be a man after God's own heart, if Paul, who murdered tons of Christians, can be the most prolific writer of the New Testament, pretty sure there's a chance for us too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
So guys, we're going to close with that. Fabiano, you got anything else to add, man?
I mean, I think something that is like present for me now is like people thought we were painted the picture. I think this is also a problem with the indoctrination of men being soft, Christian men being soft, is that people painted a picture for the longest time of Jesus being this very soft guy.
Too much
Right.
lamb.
Right. Too much lamb, not enough lion. Except what we understand about him is quite the opposite. Like he was nurturing, but he was also a savage.
Yeah.
He was a carpenter
Yep.
in the first century.
Which was probably more stonework than lumber.
Right. So you have to imagine what this guy must have actually looked like. Muscles, shredded. His message was very clear and he wasn't tiptoeing around who was hearing it. And he was very direct with the people in power.
Yeah.
He was very kind, very nurturing, very understanding, very empathetic to the people he was teaching. But because he knew the hearts of the Pharisees and the people in power, he was not gentle.
No, that's so much what you're going to hear about from us being a savage saint, because that's exactly who Jesus was.
Right.
Jesus was the ideal of the savage saint because he fully led with love. Everything he did, even when he was being a savage, it was through the filter of love. I love my people too much to let you lie. I love my people too much for you to corrupt them. I love my people too much for you to turn my Father's house into a marketplace, which is the one everybody uses. So he always led with love, even when he was being a savage, but he also is coming back on a horse, dripping in blood with a sword in his hand as the full savage to defeat the enemy.
Right.
And that's the revelation that nobody ever reads, right? Because it's the way it's written. But Jesus is the full spectrum that we take on to be a Christian is to be Christ-like. So understanding that, and we're going to go into that in later podcasts, guys, of what exactly that looks like and how Jesus is the perfect portrayal of the savage saint. But I think the key to what you're saying is, yes, he was a savage, but he did everything through the lens of love, even when he was being savage. It doesn't mean you're finding joy in being a savage.
Yeah.
No, you only need to be a savage when evil's happening or someone's getting hurt or when you're protecting someone. It's through the lens of love.
Yeah. Well said.
So, yeah, guys, that's it. We're going to bring you a ton of podcasts and just giving you a ton of content. This is what we're talking about, guys. What it means to be a savage saint, what it means to be a godly man that fully embodies that in the world. And the thing too, guys, is we're not just here to help you. We're here to help you, to equip you to go out and do this for your family, the people around you. Our goal is to create leaders of the faith that spreads as far as it possibly can. So we're going to be here giving you a ton of content. Everything's going to be gospel-centered, but we really want to focus on you being a better man, a savage saint that goes out there and fully lives out your mission and purpose as the man God created you to be in this world.
Well said.
All right, guys. See you next time.